Yeah, I think there's like a better way of doing because, um, yeah, I think there's like, um, I don't know how to use NNN very well. Because, like that's the only reason why I don't want to use it very much. It is just because I don't really understand what's going on with it. So let's go into tungsten and do draw E. As you can see, I've changed my shit. Oh no, that's an open file. Let's do new, and then let's do save as. I'm flipping damn it. Tungsten is dry. Okay. Because that's definitely what I fucking wanted. God fucking damn it. There we go. Tungsten notes dot dry. I like it now. I will go in and clean all that shit up later. But for now. Oh. There we go. So let's take a look at tungsten. And let's go back over the kinds of things. Because the big thing is we want to have we want to have the keyword. I have a keyword dictionary. The biggest thing is that on these Friday mornings, I want to be doing stuff for tungsten because Thursday nights I submit Kern to automate, right? To automating. Um, so my goal is to simply have, like, I want to start focusing a little bit more on tungsten because I'm starting to get more and more ideas for it, and a deeper understanding of how it needs to work, like fundamentally. Um, so there's that. And like a big part of it is that I need to figure out like exactly what it is that will be um, the thing that does the the thing that does the uh, performance check and stuff. Um, Another thing that I want to do is eat my damn cereal. Nosh my nom. Before it gets soggy. Mm. Okay, so yeah, we want to have keyword diction. The reason for that is that it would be very the whole point of tungsten is to have a community-driven and community-maintained programming language, which we don't really see, right? Again, early on, it's going to be absolute fucking chaos. Right? It's going to be anarchy, and that's fine. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Right? I don't give a shit what the other. I don't give a shit what precisely what the rest of the community is doing. I don't care. You know. I think for Monday. What? Hello? That was if I actually clicked the right button. That's not. Alright. So, I got my coffee. Which I'm starting to use cold brew now. Which should actually last longer. So I can use less. Because basically what I'm doing is I'm creating cold brew. Very highly concentrated set of, coffee. Like, I'm basically filling up, like, half of my mason jar with coffee grounds. I'm literally opening up 6 K-cups. And putting them in. I mean, and that's about as much coffee as I drink in a day. 6 cups of coffee and stuff. A horrific amount of coffee. And I want to cut down on all that. So what I'm doing is creating very, very dense, very, very highly concentrated levels of coffee and then mixing the rest with water. So that's going to be more than enough. And because I'm letting these sit and soak and brew for several days, yeah. And I just top them off with water as I go, right? And then I won't have to worry as much, right? So we have the keyword dictionary, right? Which I would expect to look something along the lines of let's see. Which is something that I would expect to look something along the lines of what? I want this to look something like something like do I want a direct, do I want new keyword old? Like, do I want that? Right? And then do the rest. I'm going to be doing a lot of Japanese stuff because I'm learning Japanese, might as well use it. Right. So, for this, that's one way of doing it. That would be, that could be a possibility, right? I think that would be the most straightforward and easiest to understand kind of system. Now, it is going to be a little bit strange to have, because I want everything to be all within its own shit, right? I want keyword definitions and stuff like that, right? And all of that stuff can be done in English only, right? Because it doesn't matter. It all gets boiled down into bytecode, and then that bytecode is used as a translation unit for, well, see, here's the thing, right? We have we want a keyword dictionary, right? But in order to have a keyword dictionary, the KD is going to be, because we have the SRC, right? This gets converted into, this goes into the AOT, which produces, right? This produces universal bytecode. Okay. This goes into the native machine code, which consumes this, and what we have is we have either the legit or the NRC. So when does the tungsten when does the keyword dictionary have to go? Right? What does the AOT require? So let's take a look at the AOT. Right? Because like somewhere along this line, you can emit the LSP and all that stuff. Right. Because I want to have an LSP because LSPs are really, really super useful in a lot of and there's a lot of editors that use LSPs as part of their syntax highlighting. Rather than just like tree sitter. Because LSPs help with debugging. Because it's literally just a partial, right? Because like LSPs are partial compilers, right? They are in essence interpreters. So being able to have like a partial compiler and all that stuff with your LSP is like really important. Because it's just like keyword semantics and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So understanding like your ASTs and your arbitrary syntax trees and stuff is like really, really important. Yeah. So in order to figure out what the AOT needs, we need to figure out exactly what how it works. What is it doing? How is it going to emit the universal bytecode? Right? Because the JIT and the native runtime compiler, these both are the same, right? Because you can very easily, right? These two guys, these are the same. Like there is no, there are one in this. It just depends on stuff. Like I want to have as much, I want things to be as front loaded as possible, but I want things to be offloaded from the developer as much as possible, right? So we want to push the work towards here as much as possible. We want the work flow. We want the work to flow from this way towards here, from this way towards here, right? We want as much work to flow towards here. We want to front load. We want to offload as much work from the developer and front load work as much as possible, right? This does mean that Tungsten may have a little bit of an issue with spool up, right? Because it's a lot of boilerplate. Like in the runtime, it's going to have a lot of boilerplate rather than like amortization. And what that'll do, like there's a lot of things that it can do. Alright, it's like maintenance and a bunch of other shit. But like as far as just like raw compilation and type defs and all that stuff, it's fine. Because the UBC doesn't necessarily need to have like the UBC doesn't need to have like the UBC does not necessarily need to have the hmm. So this is something that I don't understand, right? Like, this is something that I don't quite. Okay. Okay. Because like, what does the UBC actually need? What does the UBC actually need? Because that is going to dictate. Because, like, is it like a full instruction set or not? Right? I would like to have reverse compatibility. I would like to have compatibility for legacy code. For legacy runtimes and stuff. Right? For legacy UBC. It should be that any new, like, actual bytecode instructions can be just added on, right? So it'll be that, it's like the first 128, right? Well, the first 127. Well, 0 through 128, 0 through 127. So the first 128 will be one set, right? And then there'll be a whole nother set of 127s. Or another 128 set of 128. But I don't really see, like, realistically speaking, there probably won't be much else. Like, I'm not entirely sure. Okay. So, the UBC, this is going to have to, right? Like, the UBC is gonna. That's universal bytecode. Universal bytecode. What is needed? What's actually needed? So, because what is the binary? Like, what is this part? And how is this going to be represented? Right. Because we have the SRC, because we also need to worry about SRC. Right, the source, which is source.w. Right. We have the byte code dot tungsten carbide. Right. I mean, I might, yeah, I'll do WC. And then you have your lib dot DLL. I have no idea why. DLL. Right. It's the Windows. Yeah, I know. It's supposed to be SO, but I don't fucking give a shit. DLL is more descriptive. It's a dynamic links library. Oh, and there's also the slib. .lib. Alright. So these are the 4 things that I'm gonna have to deal with. And the rough part is going to be, you know, this is a solved problem, right? This is a solved problem. Ish. Right. But it's the bytecode. The bytecode part. What is the bytecode doing? Right. What is the bytecode? Right. So what is the UBC? So what is the UB? Right. And then that does, you know, that raises some questions about what it is that we want it to do, right? That raises some questions about how it functions fundamentally, like what is it doing? And that's kind of like a big part of it too, right? And like that's the thing that's going to be interesting. Right. That's the thing that's going to be weird. I'm also not sure if I'm going to be doing, like, it would be better if I like updated my titles and all that shit to, you know, the proper bullshit or whatever. Friday morning. I mean, I could also go in and change what the events are and stuff. I'm sure there's a way that I can automate it as well. I just can't be fucked to actually give a shit. Right, so... Hmm. So the UBC, what is the purpose of the UBC? So now the UBC doesn't necessarily need to be so one of the things that it could do, right? It could have different instructions, right? It could have because one of the things that it could have is that it could have, you know, it's a combined multiply add, right? CMA. And then it could fall back to mul add, right? You can have fallbacks. Like this is something that might be very good. Not only that, but there could be other situations where the host machine's capabilities might be, better than the developer's machine, right? And also the fundamental, like the actual instruction set itself is going to be different. Like between like ARM and x64, right? x86, x64 instruction sets, like those two are going to be different. So it's just and it's not just that, but the byte code for those is going to be different as well. So it needs to be some kind of universal central system of common. So you have your base instruction set that effectively every single 64-bit computer is going to have. And then the compiler can add more and more complexity on top. So I feel like, technically speaking, the like on a technical level, like it might not necessarily need to have a full set of this stuff, right? And it could just be like it could compile down into different stuff in order to like handle things a little bit differently, right? Because you can still do like null terminating strings and things like that. Which is how a lot of computer systems work anyway. Because it'd be nice if what was effectively doing is that this I mean, this is more like here, but this. Hmm. Got it. Yeah. So that would be. Got it. Alright. So we can have those. We can have that kind of situation. I'm still very tired. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure my nose. Come on. I allegedly have 2 viewers. Cool. Probably me. So. Alright. So this would have to be. Keyword dictionary. Needs to go in there. The libs. Libraries need to go in there. Right. Well, it's because it's tungsten carbide libs. There you go. Right. Because here we have your well, and also static libs. Carbide libs and static libs will go into the AOT. This one is going to be your DLL. Alright. You need to go into there. That's your dynamically linked library. So we know for a fact that the AOT already requires the use of tungsten carbide libraries. Right. So will this count as source? And would you be able to install source onto the library? Right? Because having like a common something or another, right? Like a common core system. Alright, because having a common core thing, like, because in here it would be something like config carbide in your slash dot config file, or and there might just be a dot carbide where you have your configs and everything else, right? I think it would be better if it was all within the dot carbide, because I feel like and all this can be translated back into Windows stuff. So I think the tree is going to be src libs, because it's like source libs, carbide libs. Because I think having a source lib, the dictionary being a source lib, would be really important, right? Because I think what I would want to do is have pragmas, something along the lines of tag of user dict. Yeah. And then we have the block. Because I think if I have things like this, I have them blocked out like this, then that's way more powerful. Right? Because being able to do shit like this would be incredibly powerful. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily mean that you'd be able to write better software, but more people would be able to, like, more people it would become a lot more approachable to more people, right? And it also means that, like, you'd have absolute fucking crazy shit. But here's the thing, though, right? Is that a lot of it would just be, I don't know, because there's like a lot of there's a lot of things to like keep in mind about it, you know? There's like a lot of tweaks and stuff to keep in mind. Right. And like the main reason why like, do I want to have the user decks? Because like, what kind of benefit would this do? Right. The main benefit is that it makes, like, computing and programming is not more difficult for people in Japan or China to learn, right? Because they are largely already learning English and shit like that. But I feel like it would be better to I would like to see more just, native things. Like, is it something that actually matters? No. But it would be something that would be really fucking nice for a lot of people to be able to define your own keyword dictionary. Right? Having a user dictionary section. Having a local or just globally set thing. Right. Because like Japanese people, the Japanese are very big on writing software and shit like that, and they're all doing everything in fucking English. Right? Meanwhile, you'd struggle to find an American that can habla español, amigo. No. As most other people know a bunch of different languages, right? So the argument is, people already understand English, people already know English, everyone knows English, yada yada yada, which is false, right? But a lot of it becomes hard, like the semantics breaks a lot when you have those things, right? So I think this being source, so the user dictionary, right? This needs to be source, right? Because if it's not, it fundamentally needs to be an SRC, a source file. Because if it's not, then you can't go in and update it. You can't go in and change it. Alright, and that is the thing that matters. Because what this is basically doing is that this is a huge find and replace, right? This is effectively right. Just under the hood, the AOT is literally just going to do select all, Control F, find and replace. It finds this, replaces it with this. Like that's how that works. All right. So like that's basically like the syntax, what the syntax is going to be like. And I think it'd be kind of neat too, because then you might start seeing like things like kanjis and shit like that. That might be a little bit strange. Right? I mean, um, well, I mean, if it's just a find and replace dictionary, you can have multiple keywords. You know, multiple ins equal to the same out. Right. I mean, it would flag if there's a collision with it's literally like it would quite literally go through the list, and just find the left side replaced with the right side. That's literally what it would do to all the source file. It's a preprocessor, right? It's a preprocessor step. So, and then it just takes that new thing and it just, does that. And this way, like, it becomes very straightforward as to what everything means. You can add your own entries. You can change the entries. You can update it, right? It's just a compiler. It's literally a compiler config. And like that's something that I don't fucking understand is why compilers don't have configurations. Like compilers are treated as these weird black box mechanisms that just magically takes your source code and turns it into the final product. And they're non-configurable. Like why the fuck are compilers non-configurable? Right? And a lot of it is like I feel like a lot of people just say like a lot of language designers think, oh well, I mean it's just language. Like nobody's actually going to be tooling around with the compiler. Like why would anyone want to do that? Just use a DLL. Just use a static lib. Just link multiple libraries. Just do this, do that. And like this kind of workflow has been normalized when they have heavy configuration on their IDE. Like we see things like makefiles and CMake and things like that where all this work goes into them. And it's like incredibly frustrating because a lot of these tool chains require as much, if not more, work setting up the cool tool chain as it does writing your fucking software. And it's like, yo, no, I don't want to be fucking doing that shit every single goddamn time. Like, I just want to sit down and make games. I just want to sit down and write fucking software. There is a little bit of like sandboxing and stuff like that, sure, right? There is a bit of that with like dependency breaks and things along those lines. Some things may need to, some libraries may do things, but it would also be nice to just be able to just update your shit, right? Having source libs, which includes find and replace the user decks, right? Because what we would want to do is we want to have a slash. Because effectively what we'd have is we'd have a slash dot carbide, right? And in it we have your source lib, WC libs, and slibs, right? So having these, like, this is, yeah. Because I don't think that there'd be much else to do. Like, what would a /config bring? Like, what kind of configurations are you actually going to need? This can be on a per user system, per user, thing, and like being able to like cross reference shit, right? There might be one that's like profiles. Right. So you can set everything up into the compiler, and then on a per project basis, you can have like overrides and shit. Like, I feel like that would be something that would be super cool. Right. And there's two major things. There's two major things that I want Carbide to be able to do, because I'm not just competing with. Alright, I'm not. There's two big enemies that I see in computer science. Alright. In programming, right? The big bads, right? BBEGs, right? Number one is C++, right? And number two is fucking Electron. Okay. Electron is shit. Fuck Electron. I fucking hate it. God, I fucking hate it so much. Cause it's such fucking dog shit. Right? We have all these awesome fucking tools at our disposal, and GUI systems are fucking absolute dead last. Like, it's fucking dog shit. So, what is it that Electron has? Like, C++ is rock solid because you can turn C++ into a language much worse than C++. Right? It is a systems language with the metaprogramming capabilities of Lisp. Right? It's just very archaic, and it's acquired a lot of it's just incoherent, right? It's very powerful. It's very widely used, very widespread. It is incredibly flexible. It will never die, right? Like, it will never truly die. There will always be C++ enthusiasts. There will always be people working with C++, and just dealing with the tool chain. And there are plenty of people that like how there's also a lot of people that genuinely enjoy the tool chain, right? Those people are psychopaths, and absolute fucking masochists, but there are people that genuinely enjoy the tool chain, and that's fine, right? Like, that's fine. But that's also why we see a lot of other projects crop up. That's why we see Rust. That's why we see Zig. That's why we see, Odin. That's why we see, these other languages crop up that are more specialized and specified in, certain, in, like the way that certain things are done, right? That's why we see other languages crop up. That's why we see D-Lang, right? D-Lang cropped up because, you know, they wanted to not only solve uh, the tool chain problem, because Dub is just fucking incredible. I fucking love Dub. Dub is great. But also, no, it's not just the D-Lang. It's not just the tool chain that needed to work. That's also like the memory safety. And they handle that with the garbage collector, which is what fundamentally killed the language. Right? Because garbage collection is worthless in a systems language. Syslangs cannot have a garbage collector. Right? So with C++, you know, what are the... With C++, tool chain is the biggest problem. Right? The tool chain is fucking dog shit. You know, it's incoherent. It's consensus. Right. The things that it does well, however, tool chain is shit. 2 is just like it's messy, right? It's messy. And it's consensus. Right? But things that it does well is it's flexible. 2, it's fast. And 3, it's lean. Right? This is why the run times are lean, right? This is fundamentally why, you know, like, right? I mean, like, the language itself is not very lean, but the executables are very, right? Those are the main things that we're up against, right? So let's take a look at Electron. What is it about Electron that fucking sucks, right? Number 1, let's take a look at the bad. Right? Number 1. It's literally just a web. It's just a web browser. Right? So it's also resource heavy. And it is external reliance, right? External reliance. Right? What does it do well? Because it is a web browser, it has easy easy UI. Design, right? 2. Easy web API. This is why any chat app, anything that interfaces with networked communication, uses Electron. Like literally everything just uses fucking Electron for web applications. Or anything that is a chat application. Right? They all use Electron because you're already doing networking stuff. Right? So you might as well just fucking use a website, or in this case, you just use Electron. Right? You're wrapping your website into, you're just baking a website directly into a web browser, and basically booting up the web browser in headless mode kind of thing, and just going. And its 3 is what the fuck else? Like what else is it that Electron? Like, why are so many applications using Electron? One is the easy UI design, right? The UI design is paramount. I mean, it's basically the UI and web API. I don't know what else there is. I'm gonna say like good tooling. I mean, I feel like that's kind of self-evident, right? Because if it didn't have good tooling, then it wouldn't be used as much, right? So these are basically the things. Lean, execute. Alright. Because like that's basically like these are the things that matter, right? Because like these are the two things that I really want to go up against. Rust is starting to lose favor, right? Rust is just more of a fad thing, to be honest. Like I don't think Rust is ever going to truly go away. There's a lot of people that really enjoy Rust, and right now Rust is kind of exploding in the scene of vibe coders because of how strict the language is. It's very easy for LLMs to it's very easy for AI to learn how to program in Rust because it's very, very difficult to fuck it up, right? Which is pretty attractive, right? But I really don't like Rust as a language. I don't like the syntax, right? There's just a lot of things I just don't necessarily agree with when it comes to like syntax design and things like that, right? So, I want to have these things like that, right? So, yeah. The toolchain is shitty. It's messy. There's consensus. Yeah. The fact that it's a web browser, it consumes resources like fucking crazy. It's like poorly optimized and shit. Like, Electron apps are. I fucking hate them. They're so bad. From my understanding, you just write something once, and then you basically just write a web page one time, and then you have, and then you're good to go. But you can just bake it into Electron, and it's fine. Right. Like the ease of development for Electron has got to be that barrier must be very low. So one of the things I'm going to probably do is look into how Electron apps are made, what the tooling is, what the ecosystem is like, and work towards coming up with something that's going to be a lot better than that. Because I feel like a large part of it is that it's HTML and CSS. And people are already familiar with that. So, being able to have, like it should be effectively really trivial to have it should be trivial to have, one of these kinds of systems here, right? One of these things, in the AOT, to boil it down and do, either like a tungsten lib, a carbide lib, right? A carbide lib would be super easy to make for like HTML and stuff, right? And networking. And like a web interface. So But the big part is that it's a JavaScript engine. So I think the main attractor is that it has a JS engine. Right? Is that it contains a JS engine. All right, JS engine. That's not how you spell engine. All right. The major reason why it. All right. And that's also part of the reason why it's so fucking bad, right? A lot of Electron is double-edged sword, right? It's Chromium. It's just a stripped down Chromium browser, which fucking sucks, right? That shit fucking sucks. I hate that that's the case. Right? Like it has a JavaScript engine. You know. Hmm. Alright. So I think the biggest thing that we want for spooling up an actual JavaScript engine is the biggest contender, right? There is currently a shift towards so okay. So the main thing is that what kinds of things do we want? Because we could just write a JavaScript engine. we could write a JavaScript engine in Tungsten, right? Because it'd be a Tungsten JS. Okay. So yeah, so these are the two. These are the two biggest ones that we're trying to go against, right? And the main reason why they're rough is because of this nonsense, right? So what kind of so we have a user dict which will be an SRC. It'd be a source lib. Right, because we have the source libs are kind of source libs are like source libs are I mean, it might not even be stat libraries. There might even be like DLLs and shit too. Because one of the really cool things that we could do is we can essentially staticize fucking DLLs. We can static guys DLLs effectively. But I think that kind of like defeats the whole point of DLLs, right? But I don't think that we need much more than just the DLL itself, right? We just need to be able to load in the DLL. Yeah. So there needs to be things like intrinsics and other stuff like that. So I don't really know what the actual UBC is going to be looking like. And like that's the biggest thing that I'm running into, right? That's the biggest issue that I have. Is that I have absolutely no fucking clue what it's actually going to be looking like. Right. Um. Mm, mm. Okay. Cool. 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 So. Hmm. Okay. So. Hmm. Clean and get some more. And get some more coffee. Darker than I would like. But I think that's okay. Coffee is pretty. Coffee doesn't like to go bad. Coffee is pretty acidic. There's a lot of reasons why. Coffee's pretty safe in general. Okay. So we have these things. We have these kinds of ideas, right? We have the find and replace kind of dictionary. We have source libs, which includes the user dict. Alright. And these, like, the difference is that these are stored in the r slash the dot carbide slash src libs slash directory. Right. Because, like, this is like a configuration file. And I don't want it to be like TOML or something. I just want it to be its own kind of syntax. Because, like, why not? Right? Like, why would you have anything other than this kind of stuff? So, yeah. I would like, because, like, the class system that I want to do is something that I kind of want to be opt-in, right? Because I don't know if very many people are going to want to kind of have to deal with it. Because I feel like if I'm going to be able to compete with C++ at any reasonable level, I'm going to have to allow users to opt out. Right. Everything should be, it should either be opt out or explicitly opt in, right? And that's just because of how, these kinds of systems work. Like, it's just how, like, people are, right? So, because, like, I don't know. But how else am I going to do this, right? Right, that's what I was going to do. Oh. Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh. Everybody stretch. Time to stretch. Stretchy dutchy. Do I want to keep streaming now? How long have we been streaming? An hour and 36. I mean, I could kind of end it. Because I kind of wanted to do... I mean... I wanted to do some tungsten planning. Alright. I also kind of want to do some preliminary turn planning, like pointing out some of the things that I see, some of the goals that I would like to do, right? Um, and then when Otter plays it today, I could take another look and see. So, what is it that I'm going to want to? Yeah. Okay. So I think that's good enough for tungsten stuff. Yeah. I think that's good enough for tungsten. Um, I've been muted that whole fucking time. God damn it. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, because we have the lighting. You know, the idea of lighting with the idea of a nicer corner. Right. The edge detection, the edge detection stuff, right? So this only works if there's only ever one light source, right? Because we would have to have, you know, multiple light sources, things like that. And not only that, but also there's the issue of, you know, points outside of the cell and things like that, right? So this idea isn't going to, like, fundamentally, it's not going to work. So it would be really nice if each cell could contain data, right? Now the issue is if every cell contains data, then every cell contains some maximum. And yeah, for doing stuff with because, like, I'm also thinking ahead into, like, entities and stuff, right? Like enemies and NPCs and shit like that. Because for, like, Starforge, like, it's going to be yeah, because, like, for Starforge, it's going to be such a colossal pain in the ass. Right? Like, so it's now you for things like entities, it could be that most entities are, you know, you can't have, like, entity cramming and shit like that. Putting more entities within a particular space than, you know, can be stored, things like that. You know, more entities than can fit, right? But, like, a big part of that is, like, I don't know. Because there's also a big difference between point sphere collision detection and sphere collision detection. And having the because what we want is we want the bounds to be good, right? Uh, there we go. That's good enough, I guess. I don't know. Alright, it's like something like that, and then from there to there, from there, there. Alright. Except it's more like from there to there, from there, 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 and then you have Grabby paws, yay! I don't know, I'm just fucking around at this point. Yeah, I'm like running into spoons. I can't fucking think straight. So I think I'm going to probably end it here. But before I do anything else, we can do one. Add. Git. Add. Git commit. Yeah, perfect fucking git commit message. I don't care. Nande. Oh, yeah, okay. There we go. Um. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna end it here. No one came to watch me. I don't fucking give a shit. It's not that big of a deal. I don't really care that much. Right. So I'm super loving Alacrity. Alacrity's kind of fucking awesome. I'm really loving the new aesthetics that I've chosen. Um, just kind of constantly customizing and tooling and retweaking, making this truly mine, I guess, right? There's like still a few things that I'm not super pleased with, like why is this shift? Why is this shift space instead of control space? That shit sucks. That's like the worst ever. I just have to go in and figure out exactly what the fuck what actually it's called. The thing that I'm using to do that, what it's called. Because I have no idea what it is. But yeah, so I am going to go take a shower. Well, I'm gonna soak in a bath. A really, really hot ass bath. I'm going to become a lobster. White lobster! Um, yeah. So yeah,